Welcome to the shop. FMS sent me the Super Scorpion V2. It's got a few upgrades in it. It's a big EDF. It's been around a while, so obviously the V2, a few upgrades. We're going to go over that during the assembly and such. But look, if you're looking for a large EDF and you want it to be very visible, fast and very visible, nothing's more visible than this blaze orange plane. 45-inch wingspan. It's a formidable size, 90 millimeter. 6S version. Comes into 8S version also. In this video, look, we're going to do what we do. Go over the parts, go through assembly, take note of some of the issues during the assembly that didn't go perfect. I'm going to show you what I do in the battery compartment, setting that up, running my controls. How do I set this up from a control throw perspective, center of gravity, go to the field, Maiden it, show you that, and then we'll tune it up a little bit. Go through that whole process, and then we'll come back to the shop and talk about it. But for now, I tell you what, if you like this kind of video, hit that like button. It does help out the channel. Appreciate it. If you have any comments, of course, go below, leave a comment, question, anything, no problem. Appreciate it. Stick around. Super Scorpion V2 from FMS. All right, here are all the parts. Fuselage is huge. It doesn't fit in the frame. It's as you would expect. It's a 90 millimeter. It's got a big orange fuselage. I'm going to go through the process. Take a look at all of the pieces. Everything I've already taken out of the box and examined a lot of it. There's no flaws. It travels great. Love the way they pack. Solid hinges. Not foam hinges. The only foam hinge on it is the flap. So the flap is a foam hinge. I'm not overly worried about that. Everything else is quality mechanical hinges, quality servos. Got some things in here I'll have to deal with. For example, it's got an EC5, iFly XD90. Going to have to swap that out. It's a short lead, so that means I got to take everything out, redo that. But that's okay, because I'm not big on adapters. Who knows? I might get lazy and put an adapter on it. I can make one nice and short. Overall, condition looks great. Now let's go through, assemble it, and I'll go through that process as well. All right, we're going to start with the tail section, and there's the parts. Got a bunch of screws, various sizes, control rods and ball lengths all look like they're kind of the same size. I'll double check that. As always, documentation, very simple for assembly. Gives you the size of screws. Those typically are pretty accurate. So we'll go through this process and put the tail together. First thing we're going to do is put on the horizontal stabilizers. So these connect into here, connect them the correct way into that Y cable, which has basically the grippers that are the keepers, or however you want to say it, that prevent this from pulling out in the unlikely event that things get a little goofy. And that is going to go in there. And just really make sure as I'm pushing this in that the wire there slides in properly. Doesn't create a problem underneath. If you look, we got a little label there, but that'll push in. I'm okay with that. Same thing on the next one. Okay, so those are all the way in. I'm going to flip it over. And this requires a few, push that in all the way. Requires these 4 small 10 millimeter, these little guys. I'm going to put So we're going to attach this to the rudder, servo, slide that in, make sure it bites. Okay, don't know if you can see that, but I really jammed that extension and the connection right there. I'm not overly happy with that, but it looks like that's going to work. Obviously, we're going to have to test everything to make sure it still functions properly, but that now fits into this pretty well. It doesn't go all the way down. This piece is raised, and there's no... That little part right there is raised up quite a bit, and it's not fitting in that little cavity right there perfectly. So I'm going to probably widen that out with my hobby knife. Just a little. And see if that helps. That needs to go over that. All right, that did it. All right, now it's nice and flush. There are 1, 2, 3 screws that go into this. 2 of them are the 26 millimeter, these guys, I believe. And then the other one is a longer 32 or something like that. I think there's a 26 here, 26 here, and a 32 there. All right, do the other thing on the other side. All right, now, just because I want to make sure everything's working properly, I am going to move all the servos. I don't have the control rods hooked in yet, but I just wanted to make sure that everything was moving as far as the servos, which they are. So now, since I know everything's moving properly, all the connections are good, I'm going to then center everything, disconnect, so now I can put on the control rods and have some confidence that those are nice and centered and I don't have to mess with anything. Time to put on control rods. Long control rods are for the elevator. Shorter ones are for, well, everything else. I'm going to put those on the elevator, rudder, and then start working on the interior. That fiberglass spar didn't fit in the wings. There was some extra glue and such that was on the wing itself. So just took my hobby knife and scraped that off, kind of tapered it, made sure it all smooth, refit the fiberglass rod, everything was fine. Assembling the wings, pretty simple. That fiberglass spar, shove that in the fuselage, shove the wings onto that, push them in tight, add some screws, tighten those screws, and you're done. Here I'm showing just basically what I do for the control rods and get those put in place. Usually, the manual will tell you exactly where they go from the servo arm and where they attach to the control surface. In this case, the control surfaces already have a ball link attached to them. So you're just pressing that, that bend into the control arm or the servo arm, and then making sure everything's lined up properly in neutral and clicking that into place. Do the same thing for the aileron. Again, you're going to have to maybe move or basically tighten or loosen the ball link portion of it so those control surfaces are neutral. Battery compartment. I left the Velcro in there. I put shelf liner in. I kept the straps. These are okay. They don't have rubbery, grippy stuff on the bottom, but they at least have the latches, not latches, basically the buckles, so you could really tighten it down. Using a Spectrum 8-channel because I wanted the reverse thrust because of my runway when I land. It is nice to have that so I don't run off the back end of the runway. As far as everything else, I've made an adapter for my XD90 instead of taking that out and resoldering. I have a voltage telemetry line going through and over to the red wire on the ESC. Got the bundle of cables. Also, what I did was I put a 4-inch extension on the throttle. The throttle cable stops right there, so I'd have to tuck my receiver up there, and I didn't want to because I wanted to run the lines how I ran them. This one way up here, and this one is actually in a tube that is going straight down into the fuse. There's basically a lot of foam there, and I just took a thin straw, shoved that down there, and then the antenna fits through there. Anyway, that's how I have my battery compartment set up. In the book, it calls between 150 and 160 from right here, where the wing connects to the fuselage. So initially, I had it set at 150, but after messing with some batteries and such, and 150 I found to be quite nose heavy, and pushing that back to 160, it would land a lot slower. I could get the nose up a little bit better. It's still not neutral at 160. It still requires a little forward pressure, decent amount of forward pressure when inverted. So pushing that back to even 165, I think could be something I'll play with, but I would go with 160 if I were setting this up for the first time. Get it to 160. Basically, I set up my controls per the manual. I had a 3-position switch. Ended up flying it on high rates per the manual. We have the FMS Scorpion V2 maiden flight. Bright plane. It's a cloudy, kind of foggy day, early morning. Perfect conditions for a plane like this. I've got a 6,000 milliamp battery in it. I think the CG is okay. We'll find out, play with it. Battery weighs about 850 grams. Okay, maiden flight, we're gonna get her up, no gyro. We're gonna trim her, stall tests, all that kind of stuff. Bring her in for landing and then make adjustments. All right. We're all good, let's go. Got low rates. Still need down elevator. Okay, I think I'm good on that. Gonna do a inverted test. Boy, she's nose heavy. She needed a whole lot of forward pressure. I'm gonna do a stall test just for fun.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
Okay. She didn't do anything crazy on the stall. She kind of just mushed a little bit. I'm going to keep playing with it though. I would like to find where she really stalls and falls out of the sky. Tries Little flap.
Takeoff flaps.
I'm just talking to my camera. Full speed pass. Right.
Time remaining 1 minute. Landing flaps.
Ron, I'm going to do some approaches.
Alrighty. Scared me.
She's
quiet.
Yeah, well, she's.
Did you have the throttle cut pretty back?
Yeah.
Flaps up.
I just heard the wheels.
Yeah, she's a little nose heavy, I think.
Landing flaps.
Gonna try her again, try to slow her down a little bit better. Get the nose up.
Seconds.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's running fast.
Kept it out of the grass.
All right, another fun flight with this guy. Gonna give a little flap. Control surfaces are all working okay.
Takeoff flaps.
Flaps are working good. All controls are working. Power her up, get her up. Do some more playing around.
Gear up. Flaps up.
That front landing gear will hang up on the door if I'm going too fast. It's fine here. Full speed pass.
Landing flaps.
Full flap.
Flaps up.
She'll fly slow. Do that again. I know she'll slow down more. This is a lighter pack, so she wallows a little bit. Stall isn't awful. I mean,
Flaps up. Gear down. Landing flaps.
slowing her down. A lot of altitude here, need to drop her down.
Takeoff flaps. Time remaining 3 minutes.
Let's just do some more of those landings. Who doesn't like landings?
Landing
Full
flaps.
flap. Make my turn. There's no gyro in this plane. There's some wind coming in, so she's bouncing around a little bit. Definitely not neutral setup as far as
Time remaining 4
inverted. Requires a little bit. Let's do an accelerated stall. Pull up.
400
Yeah, it didn't do it. Didn't do it. Thought it might at full elevator. Slow her down.
landing flaps, takeoff flaps,
Landing wheel?
Not for a while.
Alright.
Yeah, go ahead up.
See if I can. I can't. You're not.
She's a good cruising plane.
time remaining 1 minute, gear down, landing flaps,
All right, let's bring her in. Drop her a little bit more. One more.
takeoff flaps, landing flaps, 20 seconds,
She's flying a little wonky. That wind that's coming in.
braking,
That little wind coming from behind me, and it is definitely causing her to be a little unstable. Not too bad though. No gyro in her.
braking,
Okay,
motor off.
all good. Welcome back to the shop. All right, let's go over a few things. First, let's just talk about the plane itself, physically, the appearance, all that stuff. The foam is in excellent condition. I mean, and it's really dense. You're not getting any of the popcorn. Came out of the mold nice. Everything looked good there. The way the pieces fit together were pretty good. Had a couple little things, but not significant. Obviously, the paint. Well, it's bright orange. You could see it really well. Actually, it was almost day glow. That one of the morning flights, it was comical at how bright this thing was, which for my eyes is actually pretty darn helpful. So to me, that's a huge plus. The components themselves, the motor, speed controller, landing gear, all really quality. Was very happy with the way everything performed. Sometimes the front door would get locked up if I was going a little fast while I was trying to retract the front. It would get stuck. I'd slow down, flip, reset, and everything was fine. That was really from that perspective. That was it. In the battery compartment, having those short cables from the ESC as well as power, not a problem. I mean, a 4-inch extension is what I used to get that receiver a little further forward so I could put the antennas up front instead of mix them in with all the other wires. It's just something I like to do. So from that perspective, top notch. Very, very happy. All right, let's talk performance, because frankly, that's what this is all about. This is a very quick, nimble, I did not find any bad tendencies. I slowed down quite a bit a few times. There were a couple times where I could tell the wings were rocking a bit, but it wasn't acting like a Viper, where it just all of a sudden just falls out of the sky on you. It didn't fly as slow as the Avanti coming in on approach. The Avanti has a little more wing area, and so a little bit different on that type of approach, whereas this one came in with a little more speed. But as you saw, you can get the nose up, not a problem. With the throws I had, which were, on the high end of throws based on the manual. Actually, it was a little over. They recommended 14, and I had 15 millimeters. But performance, speed, power, thrust, all good. And the reverse thrust is awful handy as well. So from a capability standpoint, you want a fun sport jet, this could be, a great sport jet for you to have. All right, who's this plane for? Well, it's a 90 millimeter EDF that costs over $500. So that right there says you're probably somebody who knows how to fly a plane, has a few planes, and wants a big orange, or camouflage, because the other ones come in camo. 6S or 8S Sport Jet. So you probably got some experience, and I highly recommend that. This is not a first EDF kind of thing. I would recommend you have a couple of them that you're willing to, crash those until you get to something like this. Speed-wise, like I said, it's not breaking any records, but it's zippy enough. The capabilities of it, I think a good pilot's going to have a great time with this plane. And it lands pretty predictably. Getting that nose up is pretty simple. It doesn't stall I couldn't get it to stall. In fact, some of the stall tests up high, it almost went into Harrier, which I'm thinking I might start playing with that. If the CG's back far enough, this could be a little interesting. So anyway, I thought that was pretty good. Personally, I had a lot of fun with it. At first, I was a little not offended, but it was the color was like, oh, geez, that's orange. But like a lot of these planes, after I fly them, after I mess with them a little bit, it kind of grows on you. So fun plane. I enjoyed it a lot. If you are interested in getting something like this, go in the description below. There's a link to this plane, which helps out my channel. When you use that link, there's a couple discount codes. Not all the discount codes work for EDFs and such. So there's 2 discount codes there. Give those a try. Hopefully it'll help you out as far as get this plane for a little less money. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. And if you have a question, leave a comment. Have a great day.